So you're familiar with Screen and Savoy cinemas now. What are the differences between both?
Well, I've worked between them for about 4 years now. I started off in Savoy for the first 2.5 years as an usher. The difference between them, I suppose, the Screen is more independent, shows kind of foreign films, low budget movies. They'd be in competition with the IFI and Lighthouse. Savoy is big blockbusters, more commercial films, big Irish films, and they'd be in competition with Cineworld and all the suburbs really at this stage.
Are you very familiar with the history of the Savoy? And if so, could you tell us anything about it?
I can tell you it was opened in 1929, November 29th, 1929, by President Cosgrave. The first film shown was The Irish Free State, which was kind of a newsreel just showing Ireland in all its glory. I know it was open for many years, and then I think it was around 1980 it was bought by Dublin Cinema Group, Ward Anderson Group, who bought the building for £1 million. At that stage, back in the day, the Savoy was only one screen, like seated 2,000 people, where Screen 2 is now. Used to be the balcony, where Screens 3 and 4 were the wings. And when the Ward Andersons took over, they cut it up into 6 screens because there was so many films being released, and you had to show the best of the best. A few years after they bought it, I know they sold the little coffee shop beside the Savoy for £1 million. So.
How do you think the Savoy fares up to the likes of Cineworld?
I think it does pretty good. They were a bit afraid when Cineworld first opened about the amount of screens they have. I think it opened as UGC first, and Virgin was there before that. But it does okay. Cineworld may seem like it has more people, but Savoy actually has a bigger audience. We have over 500 people in Screen 1, over 500 people in Screen 2, over 800 people in Screen 1. Screen 17 and Cineworld only holds just over 300. They're more about making money, their profit on suites and stuff. I know that big films like ask for 80% of the ticket prices. So what Cineworld do is that they want to get as much money from the customers as they can at the kiosk desks. They actually have a thing in their back room that sees how much every person spends, and on average it's about €293 every person spends on food.
Could you tell us about the relationship between the Savoy cinema and the Carlton cinema, which used to be across the road from it?
It was staffed by the same company. They showed more alternative movies, Hammer Horrors. They had seasons on and stuff where they showed horror movies and thrillers, whereas the Savoy was just showing what was big at the time. I heard many stories from old ushers saying how they knew the ushers over there and they'd have a lot more trouble, and anytime there'd be trouble from people on the street or kicking somebody out, ushers from the Savoy would run over and help them out. It was good in that way.
What is your favourite film of all time from the Savoy?
A few years back they showed a season of classics, and I got to see Apocalypse Now on the big screen, so I would say nothing compares to that. It was pretty amazing.
What was it like to work in a cinema that had such big premieres?
Very hectic. When there was a big premiere on, most notably and most written about is probably the Alexander premiere, where it was Colin Farrell and Angelina Jolie. They closed off O'Connell Street and they had their own security. That was a massive red carpet job. Busy, cops coming out the street, telling us to clear the lobby and stuff because it was just going to be a fire hazard. But lots of snapping cameras and stuff, very Hollywood.
Were the streets usually dangerous for premieres?
When they have their own security, it's alright, you feel a bit safe, but every now and again there's a couple of lads that run in onto the red carpet. I think they're brilliant. And there's always somebody shoving the star to the side and stuff like that, but nothing really major.
How was it to work in such a prestigious cinema?
It's good. When we look back now at how long it's been opened, and at the time when it opened, a cinema in a town or city was an integral part of the town or city. Like, everybody went to the movies. If you look back at pictures of the Savoy matinees on a Sunday, you will see the queue going all the way down O'Connell Street, and it's pretty amazing to see. And when we do have big releases like the summer blockbusters, the queues are the same. The queues go right down the road waiting for screen one to empty. When that happens, like, you get a good feeling, a good vibe.
Is there anything else you want to say about the Savoy?
Just I've been glad to work there over the years, and I'll probably be there for a few more years yet. But I hope it keeps growing in stature, and I hope people still keep going to it, even though they have all these suburb cinemas now. And I know they're opening another cinema on the south side by Stephen's Green, 10 screen. Hopefully the south side customers won't be deterred not to walk down Collins Street because of that. Hopefully the image that Collins Street portrays, like in the last few years we've had problems with the riot. We had to close the doors. We had problems with the taxi drivers closing off the road. Some say, especially on Saturday when there's a march on, it's very hard to get to the cinema if you're driving. But hopefully people won't be deterred by that kind of stuff, and hopefully it'll grow in stature over the years.
Seeing as we are now approaching the era of 3D, do you think it's a good idea to bring 3D into cinema, and how do you think it's affecting cinemas that don't have 3D as of yet?
I think it's a good idea for the moment, from a money-making point of view for the producers and stuff. I don't think it's going to last. The best thing about it is digital projection. Without the 3D, just the fact that you have this clear HD picture to show any kind of movie, it's good. It's kind of affected us with the festival. We had the Jameson Dublin Film Festival. Savoy holds that every year, the opening and closing night anyway. But last year, the screen especially, we were completely digital, and all the reels came in on film, so they had to take back out the digital projectors, put back in the old projectors. There's a few problems with the digital projectors. They shut down now and again. They're still working out the kinks, I think. Of course, it affects the cinemas as well. They don't need a projectionist. They just need somebody to go up and push a button. If something goes wrong, other than that, it's all automatic. It's done from somewhere else. For 3D films, I don't know if they're going to last. Avatar did successfully well, but I don't see it lasting. I think it's a fad that'll wear out.
What were some of the groundbreaking moments in the Savoy?
Well, it had, I suppose, just when it opened, it had the first all-colour, all-talking picture, which was pretty great. Of course, all the history of the Savoy, all the history back in the day, people, like all the political movements and stuff, they would all be shown in the Savoy, like in shooting newsreels and stuff, so people would go and learn about their country from that before television. Groundbreaking moments. A few years ago it was redeveloped, and they actually had a restaurant up the back. Like, it was very Art Deco, very classy to go to the cinema. It was it was a real mix of people. Like, you had your really rich people, and you had the poor people coming in buying matinee shows and stuff. Like, it was great to see. Like, everybody went to the cinema. It was such a coming together of people. More so back then than now. Just.
Thank you very much for your time.